Good morning. This is the Paradise Unicorn Priestess bringing you day 228 of A Course in Miracles, the Yin translation where we use female words. This would be August 16th if you're starting at the new year. The fear of healing. Is healing frightening? To many, yes. For accusation is a bar to love, and damaged bodies are accusers. They stand firmly in the way of trust and peace, proclaiming that the frail can have no trust, and that the damaged have no grounds for peace. Who has been injured by her sister, and could love and trust her still? She has attacked, and will attack again. Protect her not, because your damaged body shows that you must be protected from her. To forgive may be an act of charity, but not her due. She may be pitied for her guilt, but not exonerated. And if you forgive her transgressions, you but add to all the guilt that she has already earned. The unhealed cannot pardon, for they are witnesses that pardon is unfair. They would retain the consequences of the guilt they overlook. Yet no one can forgive a sin that she believes is real. And what has consequences must be real, because what it has done is there to see. Forgiveness is not pity, which but seeks to pardon what it thinks to be the truth. Good cannot be returned for evil, for forgiveness does not first establish sin and then forgive it. Who can say and mean, "My sister, you have injured me, and yet, because I am the better of the two, I pardon you my hurt"? Her pardon and your hurt cannot exist together. One denies the other, and must make it false. To witness sin, and yet forgive it, is a paradox that reason cannot see, for it maintains what has been done to you deserves no pardon. And by giving it, you grant your sister mercy, but retain the proof she is not really innocent. The sick remain accusers. They cannot forgive their sisters, and themselves as well, for no one in whom true forgiveness rests can suffer. She holds not the proof of sin before her sister's eyes, and thus she must have overlooked it and removed it from her own. Forgiveness cannot be for one and not the other. Who forgives is healed, and in her healing lies the proof that she has truly pardoned, and retains no trace of condemnation that she would still hold against herself or any living thing. Forgiveness is not real unless it brings a healing to your sister and yourself. You must attest her sins have no effect on you to demonstrate they are not real. How else could she be guiltless? And how could her innocence be justified unless her sins have no effect to warrant guilt? Sins are beyond forgiveness just because they would entail effects that cannot be undone and overlooked entirely. In their undoing lies the proof that they are merely errors. Let yourself be healed, that you may be forgiving, offering salvation to your sister and yourself. A broken body shows the mind has not been healed. A miracle of healing proves that separation is without effect. What you would prove to her, you will believe. The power of witness comes from your belief, and everything you say or do or think but testifies to what you teach to her. Your body can be means to teach that it has never suffered pain because of her. and in its healing can it offer her mute testimony of her innocence. It is this testimony that can speak with power greater than 1,000 tongues, for here is her forgiveness proved to her. A miracle can offer nothing less to her than it is given unto you. So does your healing show your mind is healed, and has forgiven what she did not do. And so is she convinced her innocence was never lost, and healed along with you. Thus does the miracle undo all things the world attests can never be undone, and hopelessness and death must disappear before the ancient clarion call of life. This call has power far beyond the weak and miserable cry of death and guilt. The ancient calling of the mother to her child, and of the child unto her own, will yet be the last trumpet that the world will ever hear. Sister, there is no death, and this you learn when you but wish to show your sister that you had no hurt of her. She thinks your blood is on her hands, and so she stands condemned. Yet it is given you to show her, by your healing, that her guilt is but the fabric of a senseless dream. How just are miracles, for they bestow an equal gift of full deliverance from guilt upon your sister and yourself. Your healing saves her pain as well as you, and you are healed because you wished her well. This is the law the miracle obeys, that healing sees no specialness at all. It does not come from pity, but from love. And love would prove all suffering is but a vain imagining, a foolish wish with no effects. Your health is a result of your desire to see your sister with no blood upon her hands, nor guilt upon her heart made heavy with the proof of sin. And what you wish is given you to see. The cost of your serenity is hers. This is the price the Holy Spirit and the world interpret differently. The world perceives it as a statement of the fact that your salvation sacrifices hers. The Holy Spirit knows your healing is the witness unto hers, and cannot be apart from hers at all. As long as she consents to suffer, you will be unhealed. Yet you can show her that her suffering is purposeless and wholly without cause. Show her your healing, and she will consent no more to suffer. For her innocence has been established in your sight and hers, and laughter will replace your sighs, because God's child remembered that she is God's child. Who, then, fears healing? Only those to whom their sister's sacrifice and pain are seen to represent their own serenity. Their helplessness and weakness represent the grounds on which they justify her pain. The constant sting of guilt she suffers serves to prove that she is slave, but they are free. The constant pain they suffer demonstrates that they are free because they hold her bound. And sickness is desired to prevent a shift of balance in the sacrifice. How could the Holy Spirit be deterred an instant, even less to reason with an argument for sickness such as this? And need your healing be delayed because you pause to listen to insanity? Correction is not your function. It belongs to one who knows of fairness, not of guilt. If you assume correction's role, you lose the function of forgiveness. No one can forgive until she learns correction is but to forgive and never to accuse. Alone, you cannot see that they are the same, and therefore is correction not of you. Identity and function are the same, and by your function do you know yourself, And thus, if you confuse your function with the function of another, you must be confused about yourself and who you are. What is the separation but a wish to take God's function from her and deny that it is hers? Yet, if it is not hers, it is not yours, for you must lose what you would take away. In a split mind, identity must seem to be divided, nor can anyone perceive a function unified, which has conflicting purposes and different ends. Correction to a mind so split must be a way to punish sins you think are yours in someone else. And thus does she become your victim, not your sister. Different from you in that she is more guilty, thus in need of your correction, as the one more innocent than she. This splits her function off from yours and gives you both a different role, and so you cannot be perceived as one and with a single function that would mean a shared identity but with one end. Correction you would do must separate, because that is the function given it by you. When you perceive correction is the same as pardon, then you also know the Holy Spirit's mind and yours are one, and so your own identity is found. Yet must she work with what is given her, and you allow her only half your mind. Thus she represents the other half, and seems to have a different purpose from the one you cherish and you think is yours. Thus does your function seem divided, with a half in opposition to a half, and these two halves appear to represent a split within a self perceived as two. Consider how this self-perception must extend, and do not overlook the fact that every thought extends because that is its purpose, being what it really is. From an idea of self as two, there comes a necessary view of function split between the two, and what you would correct is only half the error, which you think is all of it. Your sister's sins become the central target for correction, lest your errors and her own be seen as one. Yours are mistakes, but hers are sins, and not the same as yours. Hers merit punishment, while yours, in fairness, should be overlooked. In this interpretation of correction, your own mistakes you will not even see. The focus of correction has been placed outside yourself, on one who cannot be a part of you while this perception lasts. What is condemned can never be returned to its accuser, who had hated it and hates it still, as symbol of her fear. This is your sister, focus of your hate, unworthy to be part of you and thus outside yourself, the other half which is denied, and only what is left without her presence is perceived as all of you. To this remaining half, the Holy Spirit must represent the other half until you recognize it is the other half. And this she does by giving you and her a function that is one, not different. Correction is the function given both, but neither one alone. And when it is fulfilled as shared, it must correct mistakes in you and her. It cannot leave mistakes in one unhealed and set the other free. That is the divided purpose, which cannot be shared. And so, it cannot be the goal in which the Holy Spirit sees her own. And you can rest assured that she will not fulfill a function that she does not see and recognize as hers, for only thus can she keep yours preserved intact, despite your separate views of what your function is. If she upheld divided function, you were lost indeed. Her inability to see her goal divided and distinct for you and her preserves yourself from the awareness of a function not your own, and thus is healing given you and her. Correction must be left To one who knows, correction and forgiveness are the same. With half a mind, this is not understood. Leave, then, correction to the mind that is united, functioning as one, because it is not split in purpose, and conceives a single function as its only one. Here is the function given it conceived to be its own, and not apart from that its giver keeps, because it has been shared. In her acceptance of this function lies the means whereby your mind is unified. Her single purpose unifies the halves of you that you perceive as separate, and each forgives the other, that she may accept her other half as part of her. As I ponder today's text reading, I keep thinking of the movie The Dark Crystal, which I've been meaning to watch again, in which these godlike beings, in their own words, say, in their arrogance, long, long ago, split themselves into two, the one half seeming to be only gentleness, and the other half seeming to be only ambition and hunger and cruelty. The movie takes place in a time where they must reunite and become one again and be healed. And in a story where all things are connected, as surely they are, also in this world is a great crystal that back when they did the separation, the crystal cracked into two pieces. There is a small shard, small enough to fit easily in the hand, and then there is the large crystal with the missing shard cut out of it, cut away and gone, separated. And these two must be reunited into a whole. And that is when the two halves of the beings come together and are healed, and the world healed along with them. And I have spoken before about my mental exercise with A Course in Miracles of practicing seeing when it says sister, not as an individual human body or any other aspect of the creation, but the entirety of the creation that we think of as not I, not me. Because this speaks of two halves, and yes, one is much smaller than the other, seemingly, as the shard of the crystal is so much smaller than the whole rest of the crystal. This division is done differently again and again and again and again and again, for each different perspective, for each different pair of eyes that are seen through by a human or by anything that thinks of itself as a self, a separate self. An infinite number of divisions of one tiny shard and everything else that's not the shard. It is tempting for us to think of the rest of the universe as kind of the God, the cruel, unfeeling God that has resulted in us living in an existence of lack and disease and death. And that the healing of that unhappy dream, that nightmare, is to forgive the wounded and cut off, separate all the rest of us that is not ourselves. And in that conglomerate is all the other seeming separate humans, as well as absolutely everything else. I also like to think of that conglomerate as being the representation of our own subconscious mind. In other words, from my perspective, all of the other seeming separate humans are a part of my subconscious mind, and from the perspective of any one of those other singular humans that has a separate sense of identity, I am just a piece of their subconscious mind. We are all characters in someone else's story, just as they are characters in ours. Both are simultaneously part of the illusion that is to be healed if there is ever to be peace. And there will be peace because it is God's will. That is the will of love, that this wound be healed. So in this seeming separation, it seems like the function of the Holy Spirit and our function are different. The Holy Spirit's function is the healing, the creation of those miracles. We're not the one actually doing it. It's something that's happening completely subconscious to us without any of our understanding. And that is the Holy Spirit. The big eraser. I'm thinking of a big eraser in my head, like an elementary school materials eraser, erasing errors, pencil marks on a piece of paper where you did the math wrong or you made the wrong letter in the sentence. The big perfect eraser that doesn't leave any marks behind whatsoever. It erases it so thoroughly that it never even happened. That's correction. That's what the Holy Spirit does. Our job is to forgive. And the truth is they're the same, but as long as we see ourselves as separate from all the rest of the universe, all the seeming separate humans and everything else, we can't see them as the same purpose. And so if ever we try to take on correction ourselves, it doesn't go right. It just creates problems. We ego trip on it. We always ego trip when we're trying to correct somebody else or something else. Even the problem solving that we do in the dream, instead of giving it over to the Holy Spirit to solve for us, none of it goes well, those efforts. And as long as this split is perceived, it will seem to us like the Holy Spirit is advocating for not us, always advocating for the other, always protecting the other from what we would do to perpetuate harm. That's what it looks like when we maintain that enmity, that hatred, that the rest of the universe is not worthy to be seen as part of ourselves because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. It could hurt us, right? We feel so frail and vulnerable. And we see all the things that could go wrong in the dream. We see them happening to other people in the dream. It's very scary. So many things, so many ways to suffer and hurt. And again, in this text reading, we have the continuation of how important it is that we receive healing for ourselves so that we are not presenting to our sister an image of the damage done to us. And while that covers what we think of as sickness in the body, whether it's a disease or an injury or a contagious sickness or whatever it might be, this really covers all the harm that we might receive, whether it's damage to property, damage to reputation, anything, a broken heart, whatever it might be, all the ways that we perceive ourselves as being hurt. That's all under the umbrella term sickness and death. A Course in Miracles calls sickness the little death. It's like that tiny sliver, that holographic tiny sliver of the big picture that is death. Death would be the end, the eradication of existence, which is impossible. All that has been created is immortal and cannot be destroyed, so there's only the illusion of death. That's why we have the illusion of reincarnation, because it can't die, it just keeps coming back, like that game of whack-a-mole. Just keeps popping right back up again. I'm alive again. Now I'm dead again. Now I'm alive again. Now I'm dead again. Because there is no death. We just have to believe in it as long as we believe in the illusion of form. As long as we believe that suffering is possible, frailty and vulnerability is possible. So how do we know when we've really woken up from the dream? All harmful consequences that we ever conceived of will be healed in us. That's how we know that we've woken up from the dream. If that hasn't happened yet, we're not there yet. What is the work? Forgiveness. How do we do it? We can't. We're not capable of it because we see way too many reasons to justify not forgiving. We have to give it to the Holy Spirit. It is the only way out of the trap we put ourselves in. There you go. It doesn't feel good to the ego to be told that because it feels like dependence. And yet that's the message. You can't go off and be independent by yourself. It's not going to work. That's not a thing. You were created, and the thing you think of as you is just a tiny shard of the whole. So this whole quest for independence, we have to give it up. We think in it lies our freedom, but it just keeps us on the rat race wheel, the hamster wheel of samsara, the turning, the going back and forth between temporary pleasure and suffering. All right. After reviewing the What is Forgiveness passage in the show notes, we go on to lesson 228. God has condemned me not, no more do I. My mother knows my holiness. Shall I deny her knowledge and believe in what her knowledge makes impossible? Shall I accept as true what she proclaims as false? Or shall I take her word for what I am, since she is my creator and the one who knows the true condition of her child? Mother, I was mistaken in myself because I failed to realize the source from which I came. I have not left that source to enter in a body and to die. My holiness remains a part of me as I am part of you. And my mistakes about myself are dreams. I let them go today, and I stand ready to receive your word alone for what I really am. That's our lesson for today. Happy practicing.